You are not your art. I want you to feel freed up to create something. Could be something small, something big, whatever it is, I want it to represent you. If you've been afraid to publish something, an artwork that you're working on, something that you're proud of, something that you're not proud of, I invite you to publish it today. At the end of this video, I'm honestly not sure how it's going to come out, but I had this idea that it would be fun to make a song this week. And then I realized, well, maybe me making a song might be a little bit boring. So I figured I would break down my creative process and allow you to follow along. This is something that you can apply to anything that you're working on. And who am I? My name is Michael Rosenberg, if you want to know. I'm just your humble adventure guide along this thing that we call life. And if you're ready to unleash your creativity, tap into your self-expression, build a business that you want to build a YouTube channel that you want to build, do something for you, I hope to be there for you. And a subscription to the channel would be chef's kiss. Let's get into it. So last weekend, I painted this. I'm by no means any kind of painter or painterly. Well, maybe I am. What happened was I got invited to this puffin paint here in Thailand. I partook in a little puffing and a little bit of painting. And at the beginning of the event, the facilitator, who's awesome, she gave little prompts, little images that we could model, take as inspiration, and the same thing happens inside of your creative projects. You want to start from somewhere. You don't want to just blow in the wind. Whatever happens, happens. So for this track that I'm going to be creating, a friend invited me to a minimal house show tonight. And so I thought it'd be fun to listen to some minimal house techno and try and make something similar. So whatever it is that you're gardening, whatever it is that you're growing, as far as your creative idea, start with something, a little spark, a little gemstone. And what I like to do is I like to capture my thoughts into my digital notebook, digital workbook, Obisidian, keep a running list of video ideas and creative ideas, song ideas, little themes, little quotes. And so I would highly recommend that you just start capturing down little bits of inspiration here or there, and then when you're ready to create something, go ahead and just take it out of there and just put it into your script. Take it out of there and just put it into your artwork, and we'll start there with our little seed of an idea, our little kernel of inspiration in the works. Then we want to think about, where exactly do I want to get this to? What is the output that I want to have? And so that's where I invite you to answer for yourself with a goal and an outcome. For me, the outcome last week was, boom, a finished painting. That's it. I didn't want it to be great. I didn't want it to be phenomenal. I didn't want it to be horrible. I just wanted to finish. And that was the goal. And I would recommend, if you're just starting out with your creative endeavors or you're feeling stuck, put aside the perfectionism, put aside working on great art that defines the century, and just finish something. So for this song, I'm just going to publish it. I'm going to make sure that it gets published sometime, tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a couple days later. Maybe we'll do an extra little... And then, boom. There you are again. The valley of despair where everything goes wrong. This part right here, I believe, is the hardest part of any creative journey. It's where you have an idea, you have a little goal for yourself, and then you need to actually do the work. It's scary, but this happens because momentum, inertia, An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. You gotta get from rest into motion, and that takes some energy. Just for some realism, I am in my apartment and I have ample time to make the music, but I have not made it yet. I gotta take my own advice, set up a time, and do it. But little editors behind the scenes, I just want to sit and relax. It's just easier to stay exactly where I am and to not do the thing that I would be fun. And then obviously I need to get a massage as well before I start. Here are 3 practical ways to get that done. Number 1, set a timer. Chunking down the creative task into something that has a finite amount of time actually will allow your brain to free up a little bit, to be like, when is this energy output going to be over? When can I stop trying to make this creative thing happen? And instead it's like, cool, I'm just going to go at it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And although I am trying to create something in a couple of hours, it's okay to also have a goal to create something over a few days, over a few weeks even. Setting your timer for 30 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, just to get into the flow. Creativity loves a little nook. All right, so I've got my whole little music situation set up over here. Improvisation Launchpad Pro. Got my little keyboard here, some headphones. I have audio interface over there. Open up Ableton and take it from there. Whether that's physically creating a space for yourself or an environment for yourself, or with time, creating a space in time where you can create rules. You gotta give yourself some rules. Now, let me explain. When you have a blank piece of paper and you're just sitting down, you're like, I'm gonna create this amazing thing, but there's no rules, it is like an empty void of nothingness. Now, when you add rules in, let's say I'm only going to draw with right angles, or I'm only going to use the colors of blue. Or if you're making music, you say, I'm going to make something at 120 BPM, or I'm going to make something that sounds happy or is in a certain key. As soon as you define these rules, it actually allows you to have a foundation, again, creating a little creative nook for yourself to live into, to create into. Otherwise, things are getting kind of out of this world. I love doing improv. It's one of the most fun things in the world because it's just pure expression. You're just there in the moment, having fun, totally free. And the thing about improv that people don't understand usually is actually that it's not about being funny or witty or quick. It's actually just about saying what comes to your head as fast as possible. And the best improvers know that instead of trying to be funny, being present, listening, and really just going after it is the best way to release that creativity and to end up being funny. What's the point I'm trying to make here? I wrote it down. Don't try to be a certain way for your creativity. Just let it flow. All right, sick. Side note about music is that the word music actually originates from the word muse. And in its use, it's basically like letting yourself have inspiration flow through you. Don't try to make great art. Be in the moment of creating art and let everything else go. Remember at the end of the day that this is just an expression of yourself. This is not meant to be your magnus opus. Don't take yourself too seriously and do your best to enjoy the process. So, you've set up your timer, you have your goal, you're ready to go, you're gonna keep it easy, keep it light. How do you even get into this? So what I like to do for songs is I like to break them down into passes. So basically I'm gonna go through the whole thing a few times until it's done. So the first pass is just going to be an outline. I'm just going to kind of get the blocks of time into the framework, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we should be working here. Okay, so I tried recording through this other special app to make things look real nice, but I will have to just make do with this. So basically, I came in first and I made the structure up here. These are, if you're familiar with Ableton, these are just empty MIDI clips, and I renamed them for the different sections. So I did a little intro, and then I made A.1, A.2, A.3, and A.4. And then I did a B section here, B.1, .2, .3, and .4. Then I did a little breakdown, and then I did a build up into A plus B, .1, .2, and .3, and .4. And then I did an outro. And then I spent about an hour or so, an hour and a half, just building out the rest of this. For the second pass, that's where I'm gonna brainstorm the ideas for each of the different sections and get a little bit of meat on those bones. Dude, I honestly love that sound right there. And I think it would sound so good. Maybe we bring this part in. Then for the third pass, the fourth pass, and the fifth pass, it's gonna be refining the different sections and really just sprinkling it all up into a phenomenal song that it will be the song that it is. Now that the structure is built out, and I did a little fidgeting while I was doing it, I'm pretty happy with how it is right now. But now I'm just going to listen through, and I'm going to take notes on my iPad right here on what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, or what I would like to adjust. I'll let this play through, and I'll show you the notes afterwards. So I'm just going to listen all the way through, and then I'm going to adjust. At the beginning here, I want a little bit more stutteriness on the, there's like a metallic kind of sound. I want a little bit more like choppiness on it. I had to go and fix the bass sound. Then now the bass is a little bit overpowered. I think I need to adjust some more settings. The kick needs to like come out more. Maybe I'll sidechain the bass with the kick. The riser gain needs to be up a little bit more. I want the hats to come out a little bit for the buildup. Like the buildup needs a little bit more work. Sounds got messed up, I guess, when it closed out. Bass is way too overpowered still. And then the outro, I want to keep some hats in there and have it fade out. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm just going to fix those pieces and go from there. And then the very last pass I'm going to do is like a polishing pass. I'm going to tweak the little bits I can. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to get too into the weeds on this one because I'm just trying to have fun. As far as for those passes, the way that I like to refine the pieces that I work on is basically just I'll listen all the way through on the music, and then I'll write out any notes that I want to change, anything I want to adjust, and then I'll go in, fix just those things, then I'll listen again, take new notes of things that I noticed, and on and on and on. And this way, basically, once you're at a place where you're like, cool, this is all I want to do, then you know that you're good to publish it. Or that's one way to know. Speaking of publishing, there's a certain point when you just know that it's done. Either number one, you run out of time, or you're just like, cool, this is done. Either way, we're about to get into the second valley of despair, I think, in the creative process. That is pushing publish. When I went to school for music, there was something called studio class. Everyone that was studying percussion, they would perform. I was studying percussion in school, and every week people would perform what they've been practicing, and I would also perform what I've been practicing. And one another would give you feedback and criticism so that you could improve, right? Like a little masterclass or a little mastermind. And when this first started, I dreaded it, because instead of taking that criticism or feedback about my performance, I was taking it as criticism or feedback about me, who I was, and what I was missing. And if I missed a few notes, if I played something wrong, made a fool of myself, it didn't mean that my performance was bad. It meant that I was bad. But it took these classes and these performances to realize that a bad performance, a bad piece of art is not who I am. It doesn't represent the whole being of what I can do. And just for you, if you're an artist or a creator and you're scared about putting your stuff out there because you're afraid of being seen, then I want to remind you that you are not your creative output. You are this huge, amazing person, this huge, creative human being. But I get it. Putting something out there is scary. Here's just a few pieces of advice that I've learned along the way of getting criticism, getting feedback. It's number one, anyone that is ahead of you or anyone that's worth admiring their feedback is not going to rip you to shreds, is not going to put you down or discourage you. Someone that is worth looking up to is always going to be trying to encourage you and empower you to be a success. Remember that if someone comments or critiques a piece or a piece of art that you've shared, remember it's not critiquing you or commenting on you as a person. It's really just about the art. And I'll say it again, you are not your art. You get to have the pleasure of creating the art, enjoying that process, putting your heart into the artwork and bringing it to life. And then you gotta let it go out into the world, speak for itself, find its own path. Don't let your identity be tied up with your art. It'll take practice, but the more that you publish, the more you'll actually start to say to yourself, wow, this is so cool. I really liked that one. And I'm glad I published it, because now I have this little time capsule of that afternoon I spent making music or drawing or painting or dancing. And I get to look back on it and say, wow, I finished that. Thanks for coming along on this creative journey with me, adventurers. And I encourage you to share your art with me in the comments or on Instagram, the Michael Rosenberg on Instagram, or in the comments, and maybe use the hashtag #CreateWithMichael. And don't forget to subscribe and drop it in the comments that creativity is my bitch.